I created a $2 billion fashion empire after my parents mocked my dreams. Now they're desperate because I bought out every store that sells to them and cut them off. Welcome back, family. If you haven't already, subscribe and say hi in the comments. We'd love to know where you're watching from. With that, let's continue today's story. I stood in my childhood bedroom, tears streaming down my face as my mother's words echoed through the hallway. You're wasting your life on those ridiculous drawings, Emily. No daughter of mine will embarrass this family with some foolish fashion fantasy. My hands trembled as I held my portfolio. 5 years of designs, mood boards, and business plans. I was 23 and this was supposed to be my moment. Instead, it became my breaking point. My father appeared in the doorway, his expression cold. Your sister Donna graduated medical school. Your brother Orlando just made partner at his law firm. And you want to play with fabric. He laughed. We didn't sacrifice everything to raise a failure. The words cut deeper than any knife. My siblings stood behind him, smirking. Donna crossed her arms. Face it, Jez. You're not special. You never were. Orlando nodded. Mom and Dad are right. It's time to grow up and get a real job. Maybe retail? At least you'd be around clothes. I remember the exact moment something inside me shattered and reformed into something harder. I'll prove you wrong, I whispered. My mother scoffed. Prove us wrong? Sweetheart, you can barely afford rent. You're living in our basement because you spent your savings on fabric and a broken sewing machine. You're 23 with nothing to show for it. That night I packed everything. Every sketch, every dream, every piece of myself they tried to diminish. As I loaded my car, my father called out, "Don't come crawling back when reality hits you." I didn't look back. I couldn't. If I had, they would have seen me breaking. I slept in my car for 3 weeks. Every morning, I'd wake up in the parking lot of a 24-hour gym, shower there, and spend my days at the library working on my business plan. My bank account showed $237. I'd applied to 43 fashion positions and received 43 rejections. Maybe my family was right. Maybe I was delusional. On day 24, I was sketching in a coffee shop, making my single black coffee last 4 hours, when an older woman sat across from me. "Those are remarkable," she said, gesturing to my designs. I looked up to find elegant gray eyes studying my work. "Thank you," I mumbled, closing my portfolio. "Don't hide them. I'm Vivian Davis and I've been in fashion for 35 years. I own a boutique manufacturing company." She pushed her card across the table. "I've seen thousands of designers. You have something rare, a distinct voice. Are you trained?" "Self-taught," I admitted. "I can't afford fashion school. I'm currently between situations." The euphemism felt better than saying homeless. Vivian studied me for a long moment. "I'm looking for a design assistant. It pays enough to afford a small apartment. Interested?" Tears blurred my vision. "Why would you offer this to a stranger?" She smiled. "Because 20 years ago someone took a chance on me when I was sleeping in my car too." I recognized desperation mixed with determination. It's a powerful combination. I started the next day. Vivian became more than a mentor. She became the mother I needed. She taught me the business side of fashion, introduced me to manufacturers, and most importantly, she believed in me. When my family called months later, my mother wanting to check in, I kept the conversation brief. I wasn't ready to share my small victories with people who'd celebrated my departure. 2 years into working with Vivian, I launched my first small collection. 20 pieces, all designed late at night in my tiny studio apartment. I called the line Phoenix Rising. Dramatic maybe, but it felt right. I'd convinced a small boutique to carry 5 pieces on consignment. If they didn't sell, I'd lose the $1,500 I'd invested in materials. They sold out in 3 days. The boutique owner, Maria, called me frantically. "I need more. Everything. Whatever you can make. My clients are demanding your pieces." I couldn't breathe. I literally forgot how to breathe. Vivian found me hyperventilating in the workroom. "This is it, Emily. This is your moment. Don't waste it being scared." We scaled up production. I took out a small business loan, $7,000 that felt like $7 million. 6 months later, My pieces were in 15 boutiques across 5 cities. The money wasn't substantial yet, but it was real. I was actually doing it. Late one night, exhausted and covered in thread, I almost called my mother to share the news. Almost. Then I remembered her laughter, my father's dismissal, and I put the phone down. My brother Orlando found me instead. He appeared at Vivian's workshop unannounced. Mom sent me to talk sense into you. This little hobby needs to end. You're embarrassing the family. People are asking about you and we don't know what to say. I stared at him, measuring my words carefully. Tell them I'm building an empire. Then leave and don't come back. His face reddened. You think you're special now? You're selling a few dresses. That's not success, Emily. That's luck. It won't last. I smiled then, cold and sharp. Watch me. 3 years after leaving, I got the call that changed everything. New York Fashion Week wanted me. Not in the audience as a designer. My collection would show in a small slot, yes, but I'd be there. I'd be real. Vivian cried when I told her. I knew it. From that first day in the coffee shop, I knew. Preparing for Fashion Week nearly destroyed me. I worked 18-hour days, lived on coffee and determination, and maxed out every credit card. My collection was called Unbreakable. 25 pieces that told the story of resilience through fabric and form. Each piece represented a moment I'd almost quit but didn't. The night before the show, my phone rang. Donna. I heard you're showing at Fashion Week. Mom and Dad want tickets. They want to support you now. The audacity made me laugh out loud. Now they want to support me? Tell them no. Tell them they had their chance. She sighed, condescending as always. You're being petty, Emily. Family should forgive. Family should believe, I countered. Family should support dreams, not crush them. They told me I'd fail. Let them watch from home. I hung up. My hands shook for an hour afterward, but I didn't regret it. They didn't deserve to witness my triumph when they'd celebrated my struggle. The show was transcendent. Critics called my work revolutionary and emotionally raw. Vogue mentioned me. Buyers fought over pieces. Orders flooded in, $200,000 in a single week. I remember standing backstage overwhelmed when Vivian hugged me tight. Your family's missing this. That's their loss, not yours. But even then, part of me, the daughter who'd sought approval her whole life, wished they could see me now. The next 2 years blurred into an avalanche of success. My brand, Phoenix Couture, exploded. From Fashion Week exposure, I secured contracts with 3 major department stores. Revenue hit $3 million the first year, then $12 million the second. I hired a team, designers, marketers, accountants. I moved from my studio apartment to a real office space with floor-to-ceiling windows. My designs resonated because they told stories. Every collection explored themes of resilience, identity, and transformation. Black women especially connected with my work. I made clothing for bodies that high fashion often ignored, in sizes the industry pretended didn't exist. My price points ranged from accessible to luxury, democratizing style without sacrificing quality. Vivian became my business partner and CFO. You're building something important, she told me during a late planning session. This isn't just fashion. You're creating representation. He was right. My runways featured models of every size, age, and shade. Critics called it refreshing. I called it necessary. Then came the Forbes article, 30 Under 30, Emily Williams Fashion's Rising Phoenix. They estimated my company's worth at $28 million. $28 million. The girl who'd slept in her car now employed 60 people. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt hollow. Success meant nothing when the people who were supposed to celebrate you had tried to destroy you. My mother called after the Forbes piece. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. We saw the article, sweetheart. We're so proud. Call us back. We'd love to celebrate. Celebrate? They wanted to celebrate now? I deleted the message without finishing it. Vivian found me staring out the office windows. They'll keep trying, she warned. Success attracts people who abandoned you. Let them try, I said quietly. I'm just getting started. They showed up at my office. All 4 of them, My mother, father, Donna, and Orlando. My assistant, Kelly, buzzed me nervously. Emily, there are people here claiming to be your family? I could hear my mother's voice in the background, loud and demanding. Tell her it's her mother. She'll see us. I should have had security remove them. Instead, I let them in. I needed to see them to measure how much I'd changed against how much they'd stayed the same. They walked into my office like they owned it, taking in the mahogany desk, the city view, the framed Forbes cover. My mother moved to hug me. I stepped back. Emily, she started, voice sugary sweet. We've been trying to reach you. Why haven't you returned our calls? I sat behind my desk, creating physical distance. What do you want? My father cleared his throat. Is that any way to greet your family? We raised you better than this. The audacity was breathtaking. You raised me to believe I was worthless, I said calmly. You raised me to think my dreams were embarrassing. You laughed when I said I'd succeed. Donna rolled her eyes. We were trying to protect you from disappointment. You were so naive. I was passionate, I corrected. There's a difference. What do you want? Orlando leaned forward. We want to be part of your life again. You're successful now. We can put the past behind us. The truth crystallized in that moment. They didn't want me. They wanted access to what I'd built. My mother pulled out her phone, showing me photos. Look, we've been telling everyone about you. We're so proud. Your cousin's daughter wants to intern with you. Your aunt needs a dress for... Stop, I interrupted. You don't get to be proud now. You don't get to claim me after trying to break me. The room fell silent. Then my father's mask slipped. Listen, Emily, we need to discuss something important. Your mother and I are having some financial difficulties. We invested poorly and we're facing significant debt. We're family. Surely you could. How much? I interrupted. He looked relieved that I'd asked. 300,000. It would help us keep the house, maintain our lifestyle. You have millions now. It's nothing to you. I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was bitter even to my own ears. Let me understand this. You told me I'd fail. You mocked my dreams. You let me become homeless rather than support me. And now you want $300,000. Donna jumped in, her voice sharp. We're family, Emily. You don't turn your back on family. You turned your back on me, I shot back. When I needed you most, you celebrated my departure. Now you need me and I'm supposed to forget. Orlando stood aggressive. You've changed. Money's made you cruel. No, I said softly. Pain made me strong. There's a difference. My mother tried a different approach, tears forming. We made mistakes. We were afraid for you. The fashion industry is brutal. We didn't want you hurt. It was the manipulation that killed me. The rewriting of history to paint themselves as protective rather than destructive. You weren't afraid for me. You were embarrassed by me, I said. You cared more about what people thought than about my happiness. I stood, signaling the meeting's end. I won't give you money. I won't give you access to my life. You had a daughter who loved you unconditionally. You destroyed that. Now you have a stranger who owes you nothing. My father's face hardened. You'll regret this. We're still your parents. And you'll regret what you did to me, I replied. The difference is I'm at peace with my choices. After they left, I couldn't shake a feeling. Something about their desperation felt off. I hired a private investigator, a woman named Diana Miller. I want to know everything about my family's finances, I told her. Something doesn't add up. Diana was thorough. 3 weeks later, she returned with a folder thick with documents. Your parents aren't just in debt, Diana explained. They're in serious trouble. They took out multiple loans against their house, invested in a pyramid scheme, and lost almost everything. But here's what's interesting. Your siblings are fine financially. Donna makes $400,000 a year as a surgeon. Orlando makes $600,000 as a partner. They could help your parents but haven't. I processed this slowly. Why not? Diana pulled out more documents. Because your parents funded their educations completely. Undergraduate, medical school, law school. Over $700,000 between them. But they refused to help with your fashion education. The investigator found old bank records. They had the money when you asked. They chose not to spend it on you. The betrayal cut deeper than I'd imagined possible. They'd had the resources to help me but deliberately withheld them while fully funding my siblings. There's more, Diana continued. Your mother's been telling everyone she supported your business. She's been taking credit for your success at church in her social circles. She even implies she invested in your company. Rage, pure and crystalline, flooded through me. She what? Diana showed me Facebook posts, screenshots of conversations. My mother had created an entire narrative where she was the supportive parent who'd always believed in me. She was leveraging my success for social capital while having contributed nothing. I want to know more, I said coldly. I want to know every store they shop at, every restaurant they frequent, every business they patronize. Everything. Diana raised an eyebrow. What are you planning? I smiled, sharp as glass. I'm going to teach them about consequences. I started buying things. Not impulsively, strategically. The boutique where my mother bought her designer handbags? I purchased it. The upscale grocery store where my parents shopped? I became a majority investor. The country club where my father golfed? I bought enough membership shares to have board influence. Took 6 months and $12 million, but I built a quiet empire of businesses my family frequented. Vivian questioned my methods. Emily, I understand you're hurt, but this feels like it's consuming you. She wasn't wrong. Every acquisition felt like armor, like protection from people who'd tried to destroy me. They tried to break me, I told her. I'm ensuring they can't touch me again. The real brilliance was in the subtlety. I didn't ban them immediately. That I watched. I saw my mother buy a $5,000 handbag at the boutique I now owned, charging it to a credit card she couldn't afford. I saw my father spend $300 on a single dinner, money he'd supposedly didn't have. They were maintaining appearances while claiming poverty. My company continued growing. We hit $75 million in annual revenue. I was invited to the Met Gala. Michelle Obama wore one of my designs. Success should have been enough. But every achievement was colored by the knowledge that my family only cared now that I was valuable. They didn't love me, they loved what I could do for them. I began implementing phase 2. Policies changed at the businesses I controlled. The boutique instituted new customer standards. The country club raised membership fees significantly. The grocery store updated their loyalty program. Nothing illegal, nothing overtly discriminatory. Just business decisions that happened to impact my family. My mother called furious. The boutique won't accept my return. They said store policy changed. I played innocent. That's unfortunate, Mom. Maybe shop somewhere else. The satisfaction was cold but real. Everything escalated at Donna's wedding. I wasn't invited, of course, but social media filled the gaps. My sister's extravagant celebration. $200,000 for a single day. My parents contributed $50,000, money they supposedly didn't have. When I saw my mother's Facebook post, so blessed to celebrate our daughter's special day, something inside me snapped. They had money. They'd always had money. They just didn't want to spend it on me. I called an emergency meeting with my attorney, Richard Foster. I want to understand something. Can you legally prevent someone from shopping at stores you own? Richard looked uncomfortable. Technically, yes, if you have cause. Refusal of service is legal if it's not discriminatory based on protected classes. But Emily, what are you planning? My parents have been lying about their financial situation, I explained. They've been using my success for clout while refusing to acknowledge they nearly destroyed me. I want them to understand what it feels like to be cut off. Richard nodded slowly. I can draft something. But this will burn bridges permanently. The bridges burned 5 years ago, I said. I'm just making it official. The legal letter went out to every business I owned or had influence over. The Williams family, specifically Robert, Patricia, Donna, and Orlando Williams, are no longer welcome as customers. This decision is final and non-negotiable. It was brutal. It was complete. It was necessary. The calls started within hours. My mother, hysterical. What have you done? They won't let us in anywhere. My father, threatening. This is illegal. We'll sue. Donna, desperate. Emily, please, this is affecting my reputation. Orlando, angry. You've gone too far. This is psychotic. I didn't answer. I sent a single text to the family group chat I'd been muted in for years. You taught me I was worthless. You cut me off emotionally and financially. Now you understand how it feels. Don't contact me again. The consequences were immediate and brutal. My parents couldn't shop at their favorite stores. The country club asked them to leave. Restaurants where I had connections suddenly had no availability for reservations under their names. It wasn't illegal, but it was devastating. Their social circle noticed. People talked. My mother showed up at my office again, but this time security stopped her. I watched from my window as she screamed in the lobby. I'm her mother. She can't do this to me. Kelly came to my office concerned. Should we call the police? I shook my head. Let her scream. Let everyone see who she really is. The media eventually picked up the story, not the full details but whispers. Fashion mogul Emily Williams rumored to be estranged from family. A gossip columnist reached out for comment. I declined. My silence said more than any interview could. Success was my revenge and it was complete. But victory felt hollow. Late at night, alone in my penthouse apartment, I'd remember being 7 years old, showing my mother a dress I'd drawn. She'd smiled then genuinely before life and expectations hardened her. Before my siblings' achievements made my dreams seem insignificant. When did I stop being enough? Vivian found me crying one night at the office. You've built everything you dreamed of, she said softly. But you're not happy. Revenge isn't filling the hole they left. He was right. I'd spent years proving them wrong, acquiring power, ensuring they couldn't hurt me. But I was still hurt. Still broken. Still that 23-year-old crying in her childhood bedroom. What do? I asked. Vivian hugged me tight. You heal. You let go. Not for them, for you. This anger is poisoning your success. I knew she was right. But I didn't know if I could. Forgiveness felt like weakness, like letting them win. Then everything changed. 6 months after I'd cut them off, I received a call from Orlando. His voice was different, smaller, scared. Emily's mom. She's in the hospital. He had a stroke. It's serious. My first instinct was to hang up. But something stopped me. Why are you calling me? I asked coldly. Because she's asking for you, Orlando said, and his voice broke. She keeps saying your name. Please, Jez. Whatever happened between us, she's still our mother. I went to the hospital against every instinct. My family was in the waiting room. My father aged 10 years, Donna with red-rimmed eyes, Orlando pacing. When they saw me, the room froze. How is she? I asked, directing the question at the nurse instead of them. The nurse looked between us, sensing the tension. She's stable but weak. The stroke affected her speech and mobility. She's in room 412 if you'd like to see her. I walked past my family without acknowledging them. My mother looked small in the hospital bed, frail in a way I'd never seen. When she saw me, tears streamed down her face. Jez. Mine. She struggled with my name, the stroke stealing her words. I sat beside her bed, maintaining emotional distance. She grabbed my hand with surprising strength. Sorry, she managed. So, sorry. The words she should have said 5 years ago. The apology that came only when she was broken, only when she had nothing left to take from me. I wanted to feel vindicated. Yet I felt tired. Why now? I asked. Why are you sorry now when you're helpless? Is it real, or do you just need me again? She squeezed my hand, tears flowing freely. My father entered the room then, and for the first time in my life I saw him cry. We were wrong, he said simply. About everything. We were wrong. The months that followed revealed the full truth. My father, broken by guilt and my mother's condition, finally explained everything. They'd pushed me away not because they didn't believe in me, but because they did. You were always the most talented, he admitted in the hospital cafeteria. Donna and Orlando, they were safe. They followed paths we understood. But you were brilliant in ways that scared us. We worried the world would destroy you, so we tried to destroy your dreams first. The twisted logic of traumatized parents projecting their fears onto their children. It didn't excuse what they'd done, but it explained it. My mother never fully recovered. She remained partially paralyzed, her speech impaired. I hired the best therapists, paid for everything, but I didn't forgive. I couldn't. My siblings tried to reconcile. Donna confessed she'd been jealous my entire life. You were always more creative, more special. I became a doctor because it was expected, but you followed your heart. I hated you for that courage. Orlando admitted he'd bullied me because our parents praised his achievements but never noticed when I tried to share mine. I listened to their confessions in my office, surrounded by the empire I'd built from their rejection. I appreciate your honesty, I told them. But it doesn't change what happened. You had years to support me. You chose cruelty. I've chosen to move forward without you. My company hit $2 billion in valuation. Forbes did another feature, Emily Williams, building an empire on her own terms. I sat for the interview, and when they asked about family, I was honest. I learned that blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. I built this company alone because I had to, and it made me stronger than I would have been with their support. The interviewer asked if I'd forgive them. I thought about my mother struggling to speak, my father's tears, my siblings' too late remorse. Forgiveness isn't something you give to people who hurt you, I said finally. It's something you give yourself to move forward. I've moved forward. They're welcome to do the same, just not with me. The night the article published, I stood in my penthouse looking at the city I'd conquered. Vivian called. Your mother saw the article. Your father says she cried. I felt nothing. That was the saddest part. Not anger anymore, just emptiness where love used to live. Success tasted like ash because the people who should have celebrated it had turned it into a weapon. I'd won. I'd built an empire. I'd proved them all wrong. But victory was a lonely crown worn by someone who'd forgotten how to trust love. My phone showed a text from my father. You were right to cut us off. We deserved it. I hope someday you find the peace we stole from you. I deleted it without responding. Some wounds never heal. Some betrayals are too deep. Some families are better loved from a distance or not at all. I donated $10 million to a scholarship fund for young designers from struggling families. Kids like I'd been, full of dreams that their families couldn't or wouldn't support. If I couldn't save myself from the pain, maybe I could save others from feeling worthless when they were priceless. The fashion empire stood. The family didn't. And I finally understood. You don't need their approval when you have your own. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and share your own story in the comments. Sometimes the family we build is stronger than the one we're born into. Remember, your dreams are valid even when the people who should support them don't. Thank you for watching.